One of the most common questions that comes up on my live trainings is, how do I sell my coaching program? Like, there's just one way to do it, or one magic button that you push and you're selling. And so I made this video to provide a more comprehensive and nuanced answer to this question. We'll discuss a few strategies and tactics, but most importantly, we're going to look at what is the right perspective to take on marketing a high-ticket program. So the first thing is, when someone opens a conversation with me about selling their program, and this is the first question they ask me, I need to see what their offer is. Because the very best marketing campaign in the world cannot sell something that nobody thinks they need or want. I'll give you an example. I got a call last week from someone who said their program is for people making any kind of transition in life. And it was like they expected their program to be sold to people saying, hey, I'm in a transition right now, and so I need to buy a program for people in transition. Obviously, that's just not how it works. Your offer needs to be focused on a very painful and specific problem that comes up in life or in business, and it needs to be targeting a middle class and above population so you can sell it for a higher price. Assuming that your offer is good, then we need to look at how you're going to sell it. So there are two priorities when you have a brand new program you want to sell. The first priority is to get cash in the door. Often what we'll do is use methods that are not sustainable longer term, but can get you this result faster and easier right at the beginning. Because then we can take that quick cash that you've made, get you paid to complete building, finishing, and improving your program, and then invest some of that cash in other strategies that will take a little time and investment to come to fruition. The most obvious quick cash strategy is to look in your current address book and find clients and referrals through your existing network using simple conversations with people. Think of it this way. Who, in terms of people you know, friends of friends, or professional referral sources in the form of other professionals, might be able to help you sell your program? Who is knocking on the door of your practice right now that might be better suited to your coaching program rather than one-on-one clinical therapy? Take a look at that, and then what we do is we'll come up with a systematic way of reaching out to them, getting them on the phone, and then making your offer. Do not just blast out some impersonal, non-descriptive email and social post about what you're launching. You're going to do this individually, one-to-one, making a real meaningful connection and talking about the problem your prospect is having, then offering them your brand new solution. This is often very effective for two reasons. First of all, a warm introduction makes up for lack of public marketing or content that you haven't yet created. And second, the recommendation or existing relationship that you have is something that makes up for the fact that you've never sold this to a person before, and so it's a much more mistake-tolerant environment. Shake this tree and see what falls out. It might be one sale, it might be 10 sales, or it might not work at all. It's still the very first thing you should do to see if you can make a little quick cash before moving on to the next stage, which is priority number 2. Finding the right marketing mix for you, for your personality, for the time you have to spend on this project, and most importantly of all, for your future audience and client. Once you have a little cash in the door, or if this strategy doesn't prove fruitful, then we're going to start working on a model. A model is a set of consistent marketing actions that you can be taking week in, week out, month in, month out, that produce enough sales of your program on a monthly basis to keep you in business and then drive you to higher and higher revenue and profit. A model to sell high-ticket coaching is based on generating a small amount of intention from the right kind of buyers for your program, not becoming some huge influencer with a massive audience. What you want is a niche audience, but made up of the kind of people who are going to buy from you. For example, my model is very simple. I run ads on Facebook and Instagram that enroll people in a webinar where I teach for an hour. And I put videos like this one on YouTube, and then about a week later, I send the videos to my email list, including everybody who's signed up for one of my webinars. I do this regularly, and it brings me the right number of clients to my program. I'm bringing attention to my offer by generating a mixture of free traffic and paid traffic. traffic. Free takes more effort. Paid takes less effort, but it doesn't require investing some money. So let's talk about free traffic, or as it's also known, organic marketing. Now, in terms of what you're going to create here, we need to calibrate your expectations and the reality of the market, and we need to filter out a lot of the really bad advice that seems to get kicked around in our industry. I'll give you an example. I had a man come to me a short while ago who had paid somebody else $9,000 to help him put together a coaching program. His program was about helping couples who are in a troubled marriage fix their relationship. There's actually a pretty healthy market for this kind of coaching program, and I know of several people who are doing very well with this kind of offer. The advice he got on how to sell his program was to go out and friend people on Facebook, send them direct messages, and try to draw them into a phone call to discuss their marriage difficulty. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and it's typical of the type of advice you get in one of those one-size-fits-all type coaching programs with many hundreds of clients that doesn't actually mentor people or care about the specifics of what it is that this person is going to offer. The core problem with this strategy? How do you know who's in a bad marriage just by searching up profiles on Facebook? Is that what people do? Post the worst parts of their marriage on social? Or do they put a face on social that everything is fine? This advice is so dumb. It's like going door to door and asking people if their marriage sucks. Same goes for the post in Facebook groups peacocking strategy, where you go into different Facebook groups and write posts. The problem with this now is that Facebook groups aren't getting that much engagement anymore, and if you're doing that in someone else's group, they're just going to kick you out. The truth is, someone who's in fear of losing their marriage is paying attention to resources that'll help them to fix it, and your work is to figure out how to get yourself in front of them at the right time so you are included in what they find. You have to find the people who are looking, not just go and bother random strangers with messages asking them if their marriage sucks. So your organic content has to put you in the right places and position you as the expert in solving your future client's problem. This comes down to proper use of social or content platforms. You're not going to be some enormous influencer. Most of them are broke anyway. You're going to be a teacher of your core concepts to a small audience, and you're going to teach what you know in a compelling way that attracts the right people to you. The game you are playing here is you're building up watch time and making offers. What this means is your organic content is designed to accrue between 40 minutes and 90 minutes of watch time across a number of different videos from somebody who might be interested in what you offer, and during this watch time, you're going to make a couple of offers to get them on the phone and help them to solve their problem. That's what's happening on this channel right now. As I make this video, I have a little over 2,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. That's a very, very small channel. You could call this an insignificant following, but it isn't, because 5% of 2,000 is 100 customers. Now, if your offer costs, for example, $3,000 or $5,000, you can figure out what 100 customers multiplied by that amount is worth. And I can tell you that almost every call I receive from somebody who wants to work with me will include at some point them saying, I watched a bunch of your YouTube videos before we talked. Well, most influencers with 1 million followers are relying on advertising to get paid in the hundreds of dollars per video. They're making way less with their following than I am with this tiny following on this channel you're watching right now. So let's take a look at a few methods of doing this organically. A good way to get yourself out there is by pursuing a strategy of guesting on the platforms of people who already have the audience that you want to build. For example, if you were doing a fix your marriage type offer, you want to appear on podcasts about marriage or on lifestyle podcasts that people who are in their 30s or 50s are listening to, you see? Or possibly you'd go and speak at events where people are interested in personal growth topics. A lot of people get stuck at this step by trying to go scattergun at any and every podcast they can find, and they waste hours being interviewed by the wrong people or by other people who also have no audience to speak of. Or sometimes if they're doing public speaking, they'll end up in front of rooms of people where their future customers really aren't going to. Instead, learn how to make professional media pitches to professional podcasters with a mid-size audience. Not a tier 1 audience at first, but a mid-size audience where you can clearly do a personalized episode pitch to them that very clearly demonstrates that you care deeply about making a high quality episode that's right for them and will be a good experience for their audience. As you're doing that, you can also be building your own presence in the form of a YouTube channel or a podcast of your own or your own profiles on social media networks, so people find you on these established platforms, then become one of your dedicated followers, where they'll see content that's created by you, start consuming it, become a follower, and then start engaging with you and buying from you. Now, this might sound like work, and the biggest hurdle for people who are only doing organic content is putting in the upfront effort to build their platform over time. Everybody wants 1,000 subscribers to show up on their doorstep daily, but it doesn't happen like that. How it's more likely to go is you'll make consistent content for a while and pick up just a handful of new followers at a time. Then you'll start getting a single digit of customers each month. But this will start compounding over a longer period of time into some very, very viable numbers. I took notice when one of the biggest spenders on advertising in the coaching space, a man called Dan Henry, said that after spending millions and millions of dollars in ads, if he could go back in time and do it all over again, he would have used those millions to create a content team, because his results and his profit would be so much more exponential than if he'd just been relying on paid advertising. That comment struck me because he's an expert at both platforms, and now he realizes the compounding results of building a platform over time and where you can take that platform in the future. The other type of traffic is paid traffic. Think ads on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, but also a few other places like X, Rumble, Blue Sky, or even advertising with the podcasts and media of relevant influencers. Some say that you need to wait before running ads. I don't find this to be the case. Ads can work from the moment you launch a program, but the problem happens when somebody who is new to using ads perceives it like some kind of magic vending machine that should work instantly based on the very first ad you write and with very low levels of investment. That's not how it is. You have to experiment with ads until they work, and that can take a few iterations before you get it right, which is going to cost you $1,000 or $2,000 as you do that testing. Paid traffic is also not a good strategy to try in isolation. People might find your ad and get interested, but if there aren't other ways to consume content from you, then you're not building their trust in you. I like to think of it this way. If people need about 40 to 90 minutes of watch time with you before they'll buy a high-ticket program from you, your ad can accelerate things by sending more and more people to see that content. In fact, it can accelerate it by a huge amount. But if an ad is the only thing you're doing to bring attention, it won't work as well as if you combined it with an organic strategy, you see? But if an ad is the only thing you're doing to bring attention, it definitely won't work as well as it could if you have other strategies in the mix, because the only thing people can find about you is this one ad and one funnel. Nowadays, people do need to see more. Common paid traffic strategies are to run ads to a lead magnet or to short videos that will produce a lot of fairly non-committed, don't trust you yet kind of leads. Then you can expose these brand new leads to your other content, so you nurture them from a lead with a little trust in you into a lot of trust and a solid conversation that happens at just the right time. Or you can run them to a webinar style funnel, which, while a lot of people say webinars don't work anymore, they actually do work. They work for me all the time if you're providing people with an experience that they enjoy while they attend your event. So I hope I've given a little bit more perspective and ways of thinking. If you came to this video hoping I would just give some one-size-fits-all strategy that would just start working for you whenever you wanted to sell, you're really not thinking correctly. You're never going to be successful. But if you come at paid traffic and organic traffic from this way of thinking, you're much more likely to be a true entrepreneur. And when you can do that, your revenue potential will go up by a great deal, and you're able to create models of running and selling a program that give you far more life flexibility than you could ever have by tying yourself to one-to-one clinical sessions and just being paid by the hour.